This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice. Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come to our cruise-ins this summer on the second Tuesday of the month, June through September. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present you the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. Today, or this evening actually, it's April 22nd, 2025. I'm out in front of the Henry County Courthouse where the first of 3 public hearings for the Alternative Energy Overlay Planning and Zoning took place. So I'm going to take you inside the courthouse so you can see how that went down.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like for you all to please rise and turn around. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing for the hearing the comments of the regulations, the ordinance of alternative energy.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Yes, sir.
Second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Little ground rules for tonight. We're asking everybody who has signed in to please come up. We have a microphone up here and speak there because everybody can hear the question, their comments. And we have a 3-minute time period limit, and a speaker can yield to one person one time. And then also, just I want to have respect for the speaker, and if not, you'll be asked to remove yourself from the meeting. So we had a class on civility at our last ISAC training, and I hope that we all are very civil and do accordingly to respect everybody tonight. So the first person, and I'll give you this to you, Steve, you can announce. So if your name's read, please come forward and speak. And also here we do have what included in the Alternative Energy Ordinance, and then also we have one extra copy of that section of the ordinance here.
Okay, we have 8 people signed up for this evening. So the first person with 3 minutes is Bob Bichek. Bob, if you could come up to the microphone, please. I know we could all hear you, but if you wouldn't mind.
You really want me to come up there?
Really do.
Please do, Bob. Because there are some people that do have some hearing impairment. And I mean one.
Say what now?
That's exactly.
Where at? Over there?
Yeah, over there.
Oh, or over yonder?
Yeah,
It should be on.
it's on.
I'm using up 3 if I manage to just get up there.
Clock starts when you start.
But I Well, this thing gonna squeal now? Okay. First of all, gentlemen, I want to congratulate you. The 3 supervisors, our planning and zoning committee has worked hard. private individuals have worked hard, you've put your all heart into it. You're to be commended. There've been a lot of arguments, a lot of fights, a lot of hate and discontent. We all lived through it. And what I've read so far, the articles tonight looks pretty good. The only thing I noticed last night was down at Danville, what they're proposing in Wayne County. They were talking about a fire suppression in these units. And I think that'd be an excellent idea, but we've already got this road up. They was talking about a mile setback. A mile would be nice. I've screamed discrimination all the time because out in the country, we're talking about a mile from your property line. If you live in a city or an incorporated unit, you got 2 miles. But I think we can live with what they've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yield the rest of my time too, Bill.
Okay, next person on the list, Nick Brown.
So, Nick Brown, 353 North Clark, Chicago, Illinois. I just want to say good evening. I know that I've been at this for a while now, pretty much over a year, but I would still implore the board to consider changing some of the proposed ordinance. I believe that it's important to have good legislation, but it's also important not to throw out any potential beneficial opportunity. And I think that we've had discussions over the course of the last year for both the community, for landowners, for jobs in the county, wind as an industry, and across the state, or the county and the state, wind as an industry has been entirely beneficial. So I think that it's important to make good legislation, make good ordinances, but also to have that opportunity for people to enjoy. And so a lot of the parts of the ordinance are already common practice in the industries, but a lot of the other ones would essentially outlaw wind. And one of those things that is already very much considered is the noise and the lightning protection and the safety of these devices. There's technology that comes out every week, month, year that makes sure that these things are safer than the ones that we put in the last year. And all of those things would go into whether it's RWE or any other potential partner. If you pick the right partner, these would be safe devices. The 1,328 or 3,280 foot setback from property lines is essentially one of the things that would essentially kill any project, not just RWE's development, but any other potential project, just because this really just means that only large landowners get to enjoy or get to participate. A 3,280 foot setback is discriminatory almost from the large landowners and the small landowners. And so we have typically seen 1.1 as high as 1.5 times the tip height for these setbacks. And then lower amount of financial securities, a little bit lower or a little bit higher height restriction and things like that. I won't go through the entire list, but I would just implore the board to consider going over this a little bit more, just to see if there's any way that a company, not even just RWE, could come into the county and partner with you all. So I appreciate it, but have a good day.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Brian Messer.
We are here to discuss the ordinance presented by the Planning and Zoning Board that was submitted version of the Henry County Watchman's LLC Group. I was sitting in the Board of Supervisors meeting where Mr. Nickting from the Planning and Zoning Board said this ordinance includes several points from other ordinances and was reviewed by a lawyer or lawyers, and yet provided no documentation or verbal references regarding where or which cherry-picked aspects came from other ordinances, or any lawyer's signature signing off on this document. Just because it is in another ordinance doesn't make it good or right. I would like to know if any lawyer would sign off on this document, putting their license and reputation on the line if it is so good. Any lawyer could review it and maybe say that aspects would not be defensible, but then the submitting group, in this case potentially the P&Z board, could ignore that and then say, well, it was reviewed, trying to provide credibility, but without any actual signature, it has no weight. However, we do have a public statement from the Henry County Attorney's Office. In a board of Supervisors meeting last year, it was stated that many aspects of the first Watchman's ordinance that Mr. Nickting tried to approve in a previous board meeting with no public awareness would not be defensible. So now, the P&Z board, and it appears the Board of Supervisors, are ignoring the public legal opinion of the County Attorney's Office, once again putting the county at risk. So, in a time when you are talking about decreasing budgets and pending cuts to county services from House File 718, you are turning away a $300 to $500 million investment into our county. Do you have some grand plan to get out and recruit other business to increase tax base in this county? One example of many that I would perceive as indefensible would be 6-2-11-41F, prime agricultural ground. I sat in a Board of Supervisors meeting a few weeks ago, and the three of you approved a subdivision south of town that no one asked what the CSR rating was on the farm ground being taken out of production. Interesting, sounds like rules for thee and not for me philosophy. Is that the Henry County Board of Supervisors? A few weeks ago, I quoted several principles of the Iowa Republican platform: deregulation, economic freedom, liberty and private property rights. My dad taught me about having principles at an early age, but stated they mean nothing unless you apply it when it is difficult. Well, here we are, because this ordinance does not adhere to those principles. This kills economic freedom, takes away private property rights, holds one industry to standards that no other industry is held to in this county, and it is definitely regulations on steroids. Please reconsider the precedent that you are making.
Okay, our next speaker is Diana Berg.
Well, I appreciate some of these, like the setbacks and the property lines. I live in an agricultural area. The turbines are industrial, and they are not great. There was a turbine that was first built not far from our home, and it had the blades get blown off from ice storms and winds, and it was the size of maybe a flagpole. It happened like 3 times. It's not gonna be 650 feet. I do think that we need to look at maybe even a longer county line setback, because it's been Washington and Louisa and now Des Moines, and they want 750-foot turbines. They're not effective, they're not safe, and they're destructive. We're a historic area. Our land is valuable. Our people are valuable. You know, when you look at things, I'm 5 foot. Some of the wires are gonna be 5 feet under, but some of it's gonna be like 17 feet. You're gonna have cement, copper, all kinds of stuff under your ground. If it gets blown off, or they don't come and take care of what they say because they've disbanded or not continued, you've got that stuff in your ground. You want to save your people, you want to have freedoms. There are even some family members who don't support these things. Des Moines County had a meeting, and there were some people there that have family members that live in this county and they don't want it. If people don't read the contracts that are this thick, they get taken. So I thank you, gentlemen, for the ability to come and tell you what I think and what other people think. Because they came in and nobody knew that they were there until suddenly we've got to make these decisions. So continue to study even after you've done this, because you'll find a lot more information about how bad they are. Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is Bill Crawford.
I have nothing to say.
You want to yield your time, or do you want to pass?
Anybody want my time? I'll pass.
Okay. Next speaker is Roger Papp. Okay. Next speaker is Lynn Humphrey.
I am also very appreciative of the time and efforts that everyone has put in, and while there are disputes and difference of opinion, I'm glad that we could go through that process and come up with tonight the process of going through this. I'm asking that you consider the fact that RWE in particular has asked for consideration of some changes to the ordinance as we see it now. But I would ask that you consider that company has not provided the safety manuals that we have asked for. That's a big factor in those of us that are going to be living under, near, beneath, surrounded by these potentially. Huge factor in many ways. But I would ask also that you consider that they have not answered any of the questions that we asked for follow-up in the town hall meetings, and that's been well over a year ago. That was February of last year that we had the meeting in Wayland, and we asked specifically what was going to be done to follow up on those, and they said that they would. Then we asked again in a supervisors meeting. Actually, the supervisors had asked for it, and still we've not seen any follow-up to that. So when we speak about principles, I think that it's important to consider the principles of a company that is not following up on things that are fundamental, are rudimentary to this process and being safe and committing to the safety of that. So when we consider that, I'd like you all to consider the fact that, are we gonna get follow-up on anything when it's simply questions that can't even be followed up on, or manuals that can't be given, that should be written, already there, and easily provided. So thank you, and I'll yield the rest of my time.
Okay, our next speaker is Melanie Papp.
The first things I wanted to point out is there are a couple of little typo things in the ordinance, so I don't know if you want me to tell you those now. There was one paragraph that's repeated, and then just a couple of needed to be an or kind of thing. If you want to know those specific locations, or you would want me to just email you those.
Go ahead.
Okay. The other item I wanted to bring up is that in the ordinance, it talks about the county engineer having a road use agreement, which was derived from the Washington County Ordinance that was just passed. We need to make sure that we're following up if this is passed, and make sure that the county engineer has a road use agreement in place. Bob brought up about the fire suppression system. I believe that that's something that definitely needs to be added, because there's been several instances around Iowa. I actually brought in company, it's firetrace.com, to leave with you, that talks about what wind turbine fire suppression systems are and what the options are, so I will leave that with you guys as well. I want to thank you guys as Henry County Supervisors for taking the time to hear out the public, do your own research, and continue to be cognizant of the overwhelming responsibility that you hold with the lives of future generations of Henry County residents in your hands. The common sense ordinance that is before you incorporates positive recommendations from across the state of Iowa and beyond. Potential projects must be willing to acknowledge the fact that Henry County and Southeast Iowa has some of the most productive farmland in the world. And if any projects are to move forward in the future, the resources of prime farmland, citizen quality of life, and future generations of families and farms, as well as the health, safety, and welfare of all residents, must be the utmost priority over the potential for big industry profits. And I wanted to bring up that on the first page of the ordinance in section 6211.2, this comes from the existing ordinance that's already on the books as well. You will notice in that paragraph A there, it says the purpose of this ordinance is to establish minimum requirements and regulation of applicant, developer, owner engaged in the construction, erection, placement, location, maintenance, modification, and operation of large-scale industrial wind energy projects in Henry County. The intent of this ordinance is to ensure wind development sites are appropriately located to preserve and protect the following: the general welfare of the public, the character, image, and stability of Henry County's residential, tourism, recreational, agricultural, commercial, industrial, and other areas, the county's important and sensitive environmental and ecological assets and areas, open space, viewscapes, aesthetics, and wetlands. Accordingly, regulations are necessary to further the above goals and equally important to minimize the potential adverse effects of this emerging high impact land use on adjacent properties. That is an amazing paragraph, and I believe that is the goal of an ordinance, and I believe that goal is accomplished with this. The other thing that I would ask in addition to the fire suppression system is that at some point in the near future that we look through the solar portion of this ordinance, because we have been so focused on wind because of an impending project that we need to look at that as well. So I think that should be the next item on the table of discussion. I also encourage you to not stop with putting this common sense ordinance in place, but to remain vigilant and aware of the conversation both locally, statewide, and nationally. Things are continuing to change and rapidly. New research is being done and technology is advancing. The fast-paced environment means that we must stay on top of the ordinances in Henry County and be willing to continually examine if they are the best protections available at any given time. So just putting an ordinance in place doesn't mean we're done. It means we need to continue to stay on top of it. It is a huge commitment, and we appreciate that you, as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, have chosen to serve the citizens of Henry County as supervisors and commission members, and you will not be hesitant to continue to improve the ordinance should new information become available. Thank you for all you've done and will continue to do for Henry County.
Mr. Chairman, that was our last speaker.
You all have had a chance to sign in, not knowing what was going to happen and the number. We did limit it to 3 minutes, and we thought I would entertain if someone else would like to speak. I don't want to be accused of not letting everybody talk. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming, and we always will be able to take more input. We have 2 more meetings scheduled. One next Tuesday at 9 o'clock in our room downstairs, chambers, and then also the following, the 6th of May. So thank you all for coming.
As you can see, there's a lot of concern from a lot of citizens in Henry County, Iowa, about the possibility of the alternative energy overlay and what they think the planning and zoning should be. You also heard from a representative from RWE, the company that wants to place the wind turbines in Henry County. Thank you to everybody that comes on this podcast. Thank you for watching, and I have to thank our sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.